Today in the City of London, it can be hard to tell at a distance the destruction which happened here during the Second World War. On the night of April the 16th, 1941, this would have been a very different place. High explosive bombs were falling over the City of London. One of them was headed straight towards St Paul's. It whistled towards the cathedral for around half a minute. It was a direct hit on the north transept roof. In a fraction of a second, it penetrated deep into the structure and exploded. Had the bomb dropped a fraction of a second before, it could have hit the dome. So how did the cathedral avoid destruction that night? We look into one of the most dangerous nights in the cathedral's history. I'm Oliver Caroe, the surveyor to the fabric here at St Paul's. It's my job to help care for this building today and into the future.
So we're in the pocket roof of the north transept. This screen wall is where the outside world is, and through that window is the interior of the cathedral. And above us is the amazing dome of St Paul's Cathedral. So this is where you can see the marks of shrapnel, hot, violent metal hitting that stone wall and leaving these permanent marks. And the pattern on that wall tells us actually where the bomb exploded, through that window. It's a picture frame through which all of that explosive metal came. And because you can see the frame and the metal on the wall, we can pretty much guess where the bomb exploded. Just above my head height, slightly to my left, in mid-air.
The bomb that hit that night had a short delay fuse, so it didn't explode on impact with the roof. They were designed to fall down through a structure and destroy it from the inside. We can track the destruction of the bomb as it fell through the roof.
We are now in the north transept roof space. You can see here a beautiful saucer dome, and above us a lead roof, quite thin, supported on these amazing timber trusses. The weight of the bomb simply punches through this brick vault. All of that's really solid. In fact, you can jump on it. But that's in compression, so it takes forces from above really well. Bomb exploding below creates a blast wave, and it lifts this structure up, and then it can't support itself, and it fell to the floor with extraordinary force.
Hundreds of tons of stone crashed down, smashing a hole into the cathedral floor and down into the crypt. Miraculously, no lives were lost. The entire structure was shaken. Even today, we can see evidence of that violent blast.
So these stones and that entire roof were lifted up by that blast wave and crashed back down again. And the stones were actually pushed outwards by that force. These are called telltales, which are still checking, even to this day, whether or not any of this is still moving structurally. So this blast wave, which can pick up roof structures and push heavy stone walls out of alignment, could have been disastrous for the dome.
This is because it might not have withstood the blast which struck on that April night, had it not been for ingenious engineering work carried out in the 1920s. Prior to this work being undertaken, engineers at the cathedral had observed that over 300 years, the building had settled and shifted. This movement altered how loads were distributed through the structure, resulting in some critical weaknesses that needed attention.
So this is actually a chain. It looks like a lump of concrete, but in here are layers of thick stainless steel with pins holding it together. So when we get that blast wave, that pressure wave hitting this structure, all that metal actually can flex and take up the force, and it stops these huge masonry walls falling apart. It basically holds it all together like a belt.
But who made the strengthening work happen, And why then? The answer lies with a man who risked his reputation to force action sooner than the cathedral had planned, John Todd, the City of London Surveyor. On Christmas Eve 1924, he served the cathedral with a notice declaring it a dangerous structure.
This says, take down the piers which support the dome. I don't think anyone was terribly chuffed to receive that notice just before Christmas.
The decision set tongues wagging in the press, and with good reason. Some papers even imagined St. Paul's without its famous dome. By issuing a dangerous structure notice, John Todd warned publicly that the supports of the dome were failing and needed urgent reinforcement. Opinions clashed on how to repair St. Paul's. The Dean and his advisors preferred a quicker, lower-cost repair, inserting ties set into cement into the piers of the dome to shore them up. But John Todd called that approach utterly inadequate. He argued that after centuries of settlement, the stresses in the building had changed, and patching the piers would no longer hold. He wanted the piers holding the dome replaced. His warning triggered a comprehensive restoration plan involving chains that would take several years to complete.
He saw the risk that the cathedral potentially faced to the public and felt it was his duty to serve this notice on chapter to do something about it and get going.
These chains were never installed with the violence of the Blitz in the engineers' minds. They were designed to correct centuries of structural drift, to tie the piers and the dome together. But in 1941, the chains faced a very different test, absorbing the shock of a bomb blast.
And these chains are probably what saved St. Paul's Cathedral for that event that no one could have imagined.
Without them, the forces unleashed that night might have been catastrophic. Sometimes, survival depends on decisions made long before anyone realizes how vital they'll become.